Want to know the 7 principles that helped me complete a bachelor's degree and 3 master's degrees? Check out these 7 success principles in this video. Hello, my name is Chris Houston, and today we're going to talk about 7 success principles that I used to complete 3 master's degrees. The first principle is to decide. You have to understand that you cannot create more time. You can just use your time more wisely. There are 24 hours in a day, and we sleep approximately 8 of those hours. What you do with those other 16 hours is very important. Peter Drucker was quoted saying, "Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things." We want to do the right things and we want to do them effectively. The key is to decide what you are going to focus on and set aside time to make sure you focus on those things and move toward that decision. Realize how much time you really have. About 15 years ago, I did a test. I heard a speaker say, if you can stop watching TV for 2 weeks, do it and see what happens. I did it. I was really bored after the 3rd day. I was really bored during the weekend. That taught me that I had time to get things accomplished. I was just not using my time wisely. I was using my time to watch television. I turned that focus to my education. The second principle is to understand and use the Pareto principle and Parkinson's law. The Pareto principle states that for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. In time management, that means pick the most important tasks and move forward with those tasks. When I was going to school, completing my educational goals were in my top 20%. So I put a lot of time and effort into completing my education. Now, Parkinson's law states that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. How do you apply this principle to time management? Well, you give yourself short deadlines so you can focus on the task at hand. I will take it a step further. If I had a paper due, I would give myself a deadline to complete the paper a week before the due date. And I would give myself time to finish that paper and to ask questions. Next, the third principle is prioritizing over multitasking. I really don't multitask. I read a book called Extreme Ownership, and in the book, one of the principles was prioritize and execute. I use this instead of multitasking. There was an article in Forbes magazine, and in that article, it outlined a study that was done at Stanford University. That research found that people who were regularly bombarded with several streams of electronic information cannot pay attention, recall information, or switch from one to another job, as well as those who complete one task at a time. The first time I heard the term multitasking was in one of my computer classes. It was used in reference to a computer's ability to work on more than one complex task simultaneously. I know some people are out there thinking, hey, I'm gifted enough to work on complex tasks simultaneously all the time. Well, if you're one of those people, try to have a complex or in-depth conversation with your significant other and do something else at the same time while you're having that conversation. And then let me know how that works out for you. Try to work on one task at a time. While I was in school, I would work on one subject at a time, complete focus. The fourth principle is concentration. Take time out to clear your mind. I work out every morning, and while I'm working out, I listen to music. The bottom line is to learn how to concentrate specifically on the task while you are doing it. I use music, you can use something else. When I was in college, I would listen to classical music when I studied. Even today, when I have something complex that I need to write or present at work, I listen to classical music or study music while I'm preparing. The fifth principle is create goals instead of task lists. Setting goals is key. One of my master's degrees is in project management. I also teach college level project management. This is my favorite subject because I think project management is nothing more than an advanced class in setting goals. I have set goals for education, personal development, and fitness. When setting goals, I just remember that your goals must be specific, they must be measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. Emphasis on time-based. If you have a goal without a timeline, it is not a goal. It is a wish or it is a dream. The sixth principle is understanding the circle of influence versus the circle of concern. I read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and in that book, it outlines this principle. In life, you have things that you can control and you have things that you cannot control. Also in life, you have both circles, a circle of concern and a circle of influence. The goal is to spend as much time as possible on the things that you can control or the things you can influence. In other words, create large circles of influence and a small circle of concern. In school, for the most part, I did not control how each professor would grade, but what I could control is how much time I decided to devote to each paper. I can control how many clarifying questions I would ask the professor, and I could control when my paper was ready to be turned in and turn it in early. So instead of worrying about how the professor was going to grade my paper, I made sure I knew exactly what was expected and turned it in early. The seventh and last principle is self-discipline. Now, there are no magic bullets to time management when it comes to self-discipline. Both successful and unsuccessful people have things they don't want to do. The only difference is successful people do those things anyway. In leadership, trust is the foundation for any great leader. In time management, self-discipline is the foundation. In most cases, you will discipline yourself to do the things you want to do. In time management, find a why or a compelling reason to do the task you need to get accomplished. My why or reason for completing my education was a driving force. My why was I wanted to be a decision maker and influencer. That's what kept me focused. Find your why for whatever you want to do, and if it's strong enough, you will complete any task or goal. John Maxwell was quoted saying, "Don't try to manage your time, instead manage yourself." To recap, the 7 principles that help me are: decide what tasks you want to complete, understanding the Pareto principle and Parkinson's law, prioritizing over multitasking, learn how to concentrate. Number 5, creating goals. 6, understanding the circle of influence and circle of concern. And lastly, self-discipline. Self-discipline is the foundation of time management. If you enjoyed this video, please leave comments and subscribe to my channel. I will be posting every Saturday. Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.